Hello and welcome to Slightly Nostalgic. My name is Griff, and we have watched Firefly, episode 12, The Message. Alright, this isn't my favorite one. It's probably my least favorite episode, actually. It has some nice moments, it has some fun stuff, but it also has some big problems that I just can't quite get over. Especially after watching it again, there's just some really glaring things, but anyway, this is the episode where they get the dead guy in the mail, and it turns out, spoiler, oh, he's not really dead. And then the guy kind of betrays them, but it's actually just a big stupid misunderstanding, and then the guy dies. So anyway, I always like to talk about the opening scene. This one is in a crowded, I don't know what it is exactly. It's like an indoor market kind of place. There's a post office, but then there's also this weird like circus sideshow kind of thing going on with an announcer who's like, there's aliens, we've been visited by other beings, and then they go in there, it's just a cow fetus. It's depressing that even this far in the future we still have no evidence of alien life. We still don't know if they're real or not, and it's like a crazy conspiracy thing. Oh well. When Simon and Kaylee are inside looking at the upside down mutated cow fetus that they're claiming is an alien, Simon says yet another thing that pisses off Kaylee yet again. And I remember before always siding with Simon here because it's like he was just telling a joke and she just took it really personally and made a whole deal about it. But this time watching it, I kind of more on Kaylee's side. I mean, he's just said something really stupid. He said, "Well, you're basically the only option because everybody else is taken or related to me." Like, come on, dude. This girl's like throwing herself at you, and you're just saying stuff like that. Come on. Zoe gets a really funny moment right after that where Simon's like, "You won't believe this, but I'm just really not that good at talking to girls." And Zoe's like, "Why? Is there someone you are good at talking to?" There is a brief mention of them having difficulty fencing the Lassiter that they stole in the previous episode, which is good. It gives them an excuse for them to not suddenly all be super rich, and I like that they have little moments like that that keep the continuity going. They're like, we haven't forgot about this is still going on. They never really got a chance to have that come to fruition, I guess. We're just supposed to assume they just weren't able to sell it and they still have it months later or whatever. This is also the episode with the Jane hat. If I had one, I would be wearing it right now. That would be fun, but I don't have one. I forgot that it's just this episode. I don't know why he stops wearing it. Maybe because at the end the guy tells him he looks like an idiot or something like that. But it's funny, he's just got it on for this whole episode because his mom made it for him. It's sweet. Then I guess he decided he didn't like it anymore. So we get another flashback to the war, which I think is the only other time that happens in the series. I think we get something in the movie, but the only other time it happens in the series is in the pilot, and I didn't like that scene very much, but I think this flashback to the war is much better. It's a smaller scale, they don't really have as many special effects, like all the actual fighting is off in the distance, and it's more about the characters, and I think it works a lot better. There's a really funny moment in this scene where Zoe's like, the first rule of battle, little one, is never let them know where you are, and then Mal comes running in there, he's like, whoa, I'm right here, like making all this noise and everything, and she's like, there are some other schools of thought. It's a great way to show the difference between Zoe and Mal. Like, Zoe's the career military, super serious, stone cold killer, and then Mal, especially before they lost the war, was like this goofball. He was crazy. Not that he was a bad fighter or anything like that, but he was just a lot more loose and relaxed. Oh, there was a weird small thing I wanted to point out, which is the phrase "the penal moon" that the cop is threatening the post office guy with. I guess that's where they send criminals. They just have like a jail on a moon. It's the penal moon. I just thought it was funny that they call it that instead of having a name like Alcatraz moon or something like that. I don't know, the penal moon. There's a lot of fun moments before things start going weird where like River has an oddball moment where she goes and lays down on the coffin. So I guess she's certainly not completely cured of her crazy, but she's more just like a weird person now, and not so much like a spastic, dangerous person. I really like that Jane and Shepherd Book have this connection that they're starting to show more and more. They have this friendship that's building. That's a pretty unlikely friendship. I mean, you've got like the mercenary who curses a lot, mostly in Chinese and made up curse words, and then the preacher. But they share this bond, and you kind of get the sense that Shepherd Book sees a lot of his past life in Jane, maybe. Maybe he feels like they have some things in common, like Jane maybe could be more like Shepherd Book someday, maybe with his influence. I wonder where that would have gone if the story had been allowed to continue. I also love the scene where Mal and Zoe and Inara, of all people, are sitting around drinking and telling stories about Tracy back in the old war days and everything. It's cool just to see Inara being more a part of the group, because most of the time she's pretty separate from everybody else, but like she was a part of the big job they pulled in the previous episode, and now she's hanging out, drinking with them and laughing and stuff. It was a fun scene. So then we get the big plot twist that Tracy's actually alive. They're cutting into him. I don't remember if that surprised me or not the first time. I don't think it did. I think I saw that coming. Anytime they really linger over an autopsy, it's like, that person's still alive, aren't they? But it is pretty funny after he wakes up and there's all the yelling and everything, and he's like, he was cutting on me, Sarge, and Mel's like, I know, I told him to. Why? Because you were dead. Oh, yeah. It's great. And then there's another funny moment when they all go up to the bridge with Wash, and Wash sees Tracy, who he thought was dead, and just freaks out, and he's like, your dead army friend is on the bridge. Once again, Wash gets to be the one who reacts like a normal person to all the weird things that are going on, and I love it. But now we get into some of the problems I have with the episode. First of all, I just don't like Tracy. I don't like that character. Even before he freaks out and turns against everybody, he's just irritating. Maybe it's because I'm jealous on Simon's behalf, because Kaylee is kind of taking a liking to him while she's mad at Simon. Maybe it's that he always sounds wasted for some reason. Maybe it's that he's shown as just a really irresponsible dude back in the war. I don't know. Just don't like him. But really, the bigger issue I have with it is how it's written really sloppily. And we've had a similar problem in this show back in Bushwhacked, I think it was, where the characters have a plan, but they don't let one person in on the plan, and that person very reasonably misunderstands what's going on and acts in a fairly reasonable way given what they know and don't know, but the other characters never bother to fill them in. Like, at any point, Mal or anybody else who was in on the plan could have said, no, we're not going to give you away to the feds. We have a plan here. We know this thing about the cop. We're going to use it against him. We're going to fight him off. Instead, they just let him point his gun at everybody and freak out and take Kaylee hostage, and they still don't tell him. They still don't even try to calm him down or reassure him at all. They just keep shooting him. And then, after the threat is taken care of, all the threats are taken care of, and Tracy's laying there dying, they don't do anything to try to save his life. He's just sitting there bleeding from 2 gunshots. There's a doctor on board. They could fix him. People get shot in the torso all the time in this show, and they come away from it just fine. Why aren't they trying? They're not even applying pressure to the wound. They're doing nothing to help this guy. The whole thing just bothers me. The show is better than that. You're better than that, Firefly. But just to end on a positive, we do get a nice moment at the end. It's a somber moment, but Kaylee does forgive Simon. She holds his hand. We see that they're gonna be okay. They're getting closer together still. They just had a little bit of an argument. It's interesting this time that Simon didn't have to get kidnapped or beat up or anything for her to forgive him. Although I guess she did technically get kidnapped and pretty traumatized. So maybe that had something to do with it. But at least, Simon didn't have to go through it again. But that's all I've got for this episode. Be sure to watch episode 12, which is Heart of Gold. Bit of a weird one, a very Western one. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Okay, bye.